What are the best practices in hiring a grant writer for your organization? Well, this is the question that we'll talk about today. And when it comes to bringing on a grant writer for your organization, you want to make sure you're bringing somebody onto your team that can truly make a difference in your organization. This is purely a capacity building position. They are only there to bring more resources into your organization. So to do that, I'm going to share 3 essential best practices. I'm Benjamin Dean from grantgetting.com. I hope you enjoyed this video and the others on this channel aimed at helping you get more grants. Be sure to check out the link in the description for a free download. So number 1, you need to define what your organization actually needs and what expectations you or other decision makers have in terms of this process. One of the basic questions you are going to ask yourself, or rather you will need to face when you're looking at hiring, is whether you want to bring somebody into your team as an employee of your organization, or if you want to hire somebody as a contractor or a consultant or a freelancer. Okay, and there's various things to consider here. I'll just mention a couple of them. And one of them is how big your team is and how much integration there currently is with your program management staff and your fundraising staff. Or if it's all 1 or 2 people, how much integration there is between those activities of designing and managing and evaluating a program, and then the processes with researching, applying, and procuring and reporting upon funding having to do with grants specifically. Okay, so these are potentially separate departments or separate people. How close currently are those processes together? If they are run as essentially 2 separate businesses, you will find, or you will eventually find, that you are missing opportunities. And there are opportunities to make slight adjustments in how you approach a project or program based upon the plethora of information that's out there about the funding opportunities for your area of work. And so, this is a common thing where on one hand, you do not want to do things just because there's money there, right? That is a path towards mission creep, right? Where your organization starts to do things that it wasn't founded to do. It wasn't the stated intention. That is one of the main reasons that nonprofits fail, is lack of focus. Okay. On the other hand, you don't want to be so rigid that this is the way things have to be, that I'm not even going to consider looking at grant opportunities that would require small tweaks in what we're doing that achieve the same or better outcomes. Okay. Remember, when it comes to thinking about a grant writer, and this is all part of this, that an organization's role is not to produce outputs. It is not to conduct activities. It is to achieve outcomes. Okay, so that is very, very important, especially for small or newer nonprofits, even medium-sized nonprofits and large, but potentially the small and medium-sized, because as a small and medium-sized organization, say less than 50 employees, you have a great opportunity to be nimble. You have less things already built and more ability to adjust as you go based upon the funding or economic or whatever environment, cultural environment, societal environment that you're operating in. Okay, so how does that affect a grant writer? Well, if you have a mentality that says, I am willing to look at how my programs are designed, how they're run, what the interactions are like with my clients or with my environment, if I'm willing to make changes to those based upon a pretty clear opportunity to bring massive amounts of additional resources into my organization, well, then I should consider that. I should set up my infrastructure to consider that. Because again, it's one thing to say, oh yeah, we would definitely change that. And it's another thing to actually have the grant writing function, the grant research and writing function, be in tune with the program design function. Okay. If they're not in tune, then you're just flapping your lips and you're not really doing it. Okay. So that thinking needs to be done in the context of hiring a grant writer, because if you have program management, program design team, they need to be part of the consideration of who you bring on. Okay. Because it's a team. Conversely, if you really kind of know what you're doing, it's churn and burn in terms of your program, it's been successful, and you just need somebody in to go on grants, there might be less of an interest on your side to find somebody who's going to mix in with the team. And it might just be somebody who knows how to write grants and is really good at organizing the information and has a track record of doing that, is very detail oriented, and you can contract with them. Okay. They don't need to be at your team meetings. They don't need to, be at your potlucks. They don't need to be part of the team culture, right? If that's sounding like what you're wanting, then the structure might be more so a contractor, somebody with more experience. Okay. So this is all part of your nonprofit's needs and expectations, right? If you have the expectation that you want to bring somebody on to write one or two grants, big federal or big grants over the course of a few month period, that's a much different strategy than bringing somebody on who's going to potentially produce grant applications in the tens or 20s, all aimed at one or similar programs that you have within your organization. It's a much different person. It's a much different personality, and therefore it's a much different sort of vetting process as you look at their resume. Okay. Understand exactly what your organization requires. These are a couple considerations I'm bringing up. There are, of course, many others. Not all grant writers are the same. Some specialize in certain types of grants, while others may have a more general approach. Some grant writers get it in terms of the relationships that are needed for more localized grants. Those grant writers are going to be ones that are going to be going to the networking events, representing you in some way, making connections, doing the extra work, the wraparound work of getting a grant. Some people understand that. Other people don't, or they haven't done that before, and that might be new to them. So, what is it that you expect? Do you want somebody to sit in an office and never take their fingers off the keyboard and just go? Getting as many high quality applications in as they possibly can? Or do you want somebody who's out in the community also looking for new grants? Do you want a researcher? Do you want a writer? Okay. All of these questions you just ask yourself. And if you have answers to them, great. If you don't, then, consult additional resources on this channel to get clear on what are grants. How do I apply for grants? I guess I would say if you're at the point of like, oh, I just heard there's money out there and I need to hire a grant writer to go get some of that money, that's going to be tough to do that. You're certainly, if you find the right person, they'll go out and, get a grant or two for you, get a bit of money, pay for their salary plus more, of course, have a positive return on investment. But in small to medium-sized nonprofits, I am thoroughly convinced that outside grant writers only take you so far. And you have to have an integration of the fundraising function and the program design function and other functions to really grow an organization to the point of sustainable funding. There are exceptions to these, but they are very rare. So all of this needs to be thought about, then boiled down to what are the skills that you're looking for? What are the experience? What are the qualities, the character qualities? What's the personality type that you're looking for? And write it down, and you can be upfront in the scope of work in your, your job description. Those things are important to be transparent about. Okay, so that's number one when hiring a grant writer. Number two, assessing the grant writer's past performance and experience. Experience is important when you're going to hire somebody as a grant writer. Now, I'm going to give you one answer, one kind of way to look at this, and then I'm going to give you another way. The first way is the traditional way, which there's nothing wrong with this, and this is great. It's about how many years has somebody been writing grants. It's about how many grant proposals have they put together. It's about how many grant proposals have they won. And on the back end, how many have they managed? How many have they reported on? Okay. Which organizations did they work with? Who is their executive director? What is their phone number? Okay. It is very black and white. When you are a contract grant writer, you work for an organization and you either were successful in their mind or unsuccessful in their mind. Okay. If you're finding a contract grant writer looking for work, you want to ask why. Who did they work for before you? All right. And why are they looking for work? Because if there's a good grant writer, grant management teams, nonprofit teams, they want to keep that person. They are so valuable to that organization. Okay, so if there's just sort of a floater, looking for more work, it could be that they're new, which is fine. It could be that they just moved to a new location and they want to be physically near somebody. That's fine. They could be seeking out new experiences, which is fine. But you need to have a critical eye to freelance grant writers, okay? Because it's very easy to just get a reference. It's very, very easy. So go and find that reference. Don't be afraid to ask for who did you work with? What was the board chair or executive director? Please give me their information. We're going to do 3 reference checks. Okay? That's going to tell you a lot about them. Now, they will have the opportunity to cherry pick. They might be a grant writing, freelancer that has worked with dozens of organizations, and they're going to give you the 3 best. That's okay, right? That's to some degree a good thing that they have that breadth of experience, but you might want to include questions like, what was the worst client you ever had? What was the worst project you ever had? Did any of your projects not meet the expectation of the funder? Or the nonprofit, either one, right? Ask those hard questions because those things happen, right? If you're a freelance grant writer, you can understand that some nonprofits have completely unrealistic expectations, that you're just going to come in and you come in with a rake and you go to the next door neighbor's house and you rake up the cash and you bag it up and you bring it over. And that's it, right? Many nonprofits, potentially you even sitting here watching this, leaders are sort of naive to the process. And so that could have been a reason for why an engagement didn't work out. Okay. But you want to very quickly, very directly just get at who did you work for? Give me the full list if you can. I want to call these people. I'm very interested, but I want to hear from them how it is that you work. Okay. And then of course you're cross-referencing this based upon what your specific needs are. That's number 2. Number 3, consider a trial project. Grant writers are great to do trial projects on. Before making a long-term commitment, doing this step allows you to see the grant writer in action, giving you a better sense of their capabilities and how well they mesh with your team if that is your intention. A trial project doesn't have to be extensive. It could be a small grant application or a portion of a larger proposal. Use this opportunity to evaluate their communication skills, attention to detail, and ability to meet deadlines. Okay? If they have poor communication skills, don't have attention to detail, and can't meet a deadline, you should not hire them. Okay, so that's an obvious, like, make a trial project. Okay, great. Thank you so much for your interest in, being here and being with our organization. We're going to do a trial project. Here's a grant application. Go. We'll give you X amount of hours. Do you think you can get it done in that time? We're available for questions. Here's all of our documentation. Let's see what you do. Okay. This is your trial. Paying by the hour, right? And set a cap so you know your budget. That's a great way to do it. Okay. So now I'm going to look at all 3 of these things in the context of who is the right person. Basically, what is grant writing and what are the skills that are needed for grant writing? You're getting my opinion. I believe that grant writing today is much more project management and process management than it is writing. Okay? I believe the word writing throws people off in terms of what you're actually looking for in terms of the skills that you need to acquire to be a grant writer, or the skills that you would need to find in someone else to be a grant writer. Okay. The assisted form of grammar and writing aids and artificial intelligence and easy research that is available right now has changed the game for many industries, but specifically grant writing. Grant writing is process management. Okay. So if you find somebody who is an expert project manager or process manager, they can see the whole scope of a project and manage the individual components in an organized and timely manner, I can all but guarantee you that person will be at least an above average grant writer. Okay, because those are the same skills. When you break things down into its component pieces and you organize things from a high level view, and you communicate those things and share those things with a grant writer, or if you're doing them yourself, you have it organized. That is a successful foundation for grant writing. Okay, so please consider that if you find somebody who has the hunger to learn grant writing and they have the skills in project management that have been demonstrated, then that might be just your perfect person to join your grant writing team. Okay, so you follow these practices, you'll be well on your way to finding the right grant writer who can help your nonprofit secure funding. I have put together a free download with 7 additional tips to the 3 that we've mentioned here to find the perfect grant writer. You can grab that in the link in the description. Please let me know in the comments if you're struggling with working with a grant writer, or if you are a freelance grant writer struggling with a nonprofit. I'd be happy to help. Just go ahead and put that in the comments. So thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.